Hey guys, it's the Whale coming at you with my Amazement deck profile for the month of April 2024. This is post ban list because the deck kind of got neutered a little bit because I was playing a couple cards that got hit in the ban list, but still, this deck's pretty fun. It's good to have like a little pocket deck when you don't really want to play meta and your opponent doesn't want to play meta. So here, let's just play something like this, and it's super inexpensive. Before I get started with the profile, I just wanted to state that this video is actually dedicated to my son Justin. He saw me playing this deck in Master Duel and really liked the artwork on it. So Justin, if you're watching this, buddy, I love you. This video goes out to you, okay? So let's get straight onto the deck profile, ladies and gentlemen. We're running 2 Administrator Alucino. So this right here is your boss monster of the deck. Okay, so it has 2600 attack, 2200 defense, so it's pretty beefy. Okay, it has technically 3 effects. Its first effect is that once per turn you can banish X amount of attraction traps from your graveyard to destroy those amount of cards that your opponent controls that you banish. So if you banish 2, you pop 2 from your opponent's field. Pretty good card. Second effect, if a trap card is activated and this card's in your hand, you can special summon it. More than likely, you will be special summoning this card off of your own traps. This is a trap deck, okay? So my favorite type of decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, and its third effect is that if your opponent were to normal or special summon a monster, you can directly equip an attraction trap from your deck to that monster that was special or normal summoned. So in its own form, it's it's interruption, and not only that, it's also a destruction on your turn for your opponent. So this card is incredibly good. It is the boss monster. In some builds that I see him being ran at 3. I think 2 is just fine with the amount of not only recursion that you have, but the amount of searchability that you have in this deck. And to get him out. To help with getting him out, if you don't have him in your hand, we're running 2 Amazement Abomination Arlecchino. So this is like his evil version, or his evil brother, as my son says, right? So he has the same stats as Arlecchino. Of course, it's Arlecchino, okay? But it states that if you control an Amazement monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you do, add 1 family faces from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is fantastic because that's kind of what the deck needed. This was its wave of support. I feel like it needs more support, but hey, whatever. It's pretty good support, so it lets you add that card from your deck or graveyard to the hand. It also has another effect that, quick effect, you can target 1 other effect monster on the field that has greater than 0 attack. Okay, shuffle this card from the field to the deck, and if you do, special summon 1 Administrator Arlecchino, so it lets you get Administrator Arlecchino out, and if you do, that monster becomes 0 attack, not Arlecchino, the monster that you targeted. So it's pretty good, really good effect. Just to kind of get Arlecchino out. Like I said, that's why I only ever find myself needing 2. If you guys feel comfortable, you can run 3 Abominations and 2 Arlecchino, or 3 Arlecchino and 2 Abominations, whatever you guys want. I just can't afford to break in this deck because it's already an extremely slow deck. So to help with that, we are running, for the rest of the Amazement monsters, we are running 3 Amazement Attendant Comica. Comica on normal summon lets you set an Amazement trap from your deck, so it's almost like a Theresia effect. It can't be ashed. It also has a secondary effect that I very rarely ever use, but it states that you can target 1 of your attraction traps equipped to a monster, equip it to 1 Amazement monster you control, or 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. So it kind of lets you flip-flop traps. But I rarely ever use that effect, to be completely fair with you. So this card's really good to, again, a lot of the Amazement traps, I can just use it. It's really good. Lets me set it from the deck, and this with Abomination and is a straight Arlecchino, so pretty good. For the rest of the monsters, we are running 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This is, of course, to protect your back row and to search out any other spell or trap that you might need. Usually I reveal this, and then I activate a trap or a spell or trap, and then usually the card that you usually go for is Pot of Extravagance, which I am running in this build because it's just really good in a trap deck. So 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Not only that, it's a pretty big, beefy body, allows you to swing for game. With this deck, it's surprisingly easy to OTK, and I'll show you how. 2 Wannabe. So a majority of your deck is traps, and a lot of your traps are disruption traps, so this card is just really good in this deck. You can decide to run a hand trap heavy build. By all means, you can run 3 Ash, 3 Droll, 3 Veiler, etc, 3 Nib. But like I said, this is a for fun deck, and I very much, when making this deck, I didn't want to get talents or thrusted, so like I said, I just can't afford to do that. It's too much, you know, to just negate a Ash or something like that. You know what I mean? So anyway, to Wannabe, that is it for the monsters. Really, really good, solid monster count in my opinion, and the deck is actually very, very consistent, ladies and gentlemen. Very consistent, very cheap. You can make this deck for about $10. I bought the entirety of the cards that I needed for about $6. So for the spells, really short spell count. We're running 3. Amazing Time Ticket. So first of all, this card is beautiful. This is my favorite card in the entire archetype. This card is just beautiful. So it basically states that during you can pay 800 life points and activate one of these 2 effects depending on the turn that it is. During your turn, you're going to add 1 Amazement card from your deck to your hand. So it's another way of getting Arlecchino or any of the monsters or any trap that you might need for that given situation. From your opponent's turn, you can set 1 attraction trap directly from your deck. It can be activated this turn. So it's another great effect. I mean, all its effects are great. Usually you want to search out the monsters to kind of get the ball rolling, but then after that, by all means, you can search out the traps to control the board. So I feel like this deck actually is not bad. It just needs a couple more waves of support, maybe 1 or 2 more cards, and I think it's pretty solid. For the rest of the spells, we're only running 6 in total. We're running 3 pots of Extrav. I think Extrav is just really great in a trap deck. I think that's already known. It's better in a trap deck to draw 2 cards than Prosperity to just dig for that 1 card. But by all means, you guys can experiment with whatever you want. I do not recommend Duality because you do special summon, Arlecchino and Abomination Arlecchino, so keep that in mind. So for the traps that you guys can obviously tell is ginormous. It's probably, I think I have like 20 traps in this deck, so it's a lot of traps. So let's get right to it. Probably the best attraction trap that most people know is Horror House. So all the traps have 2 effects, just like the spells have two effects. So its first effect is you can target 1 Amazement monster or 1 of your opponent's monster, equip this trap to that monster. Okay, and now depending on the monster that is equipped, either you or your opponent, it has one of the effects. So if you equipped it to your monster, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. So it's basically a Veiler, not bad. But during if this is equipped on your opponent's monster, you can essentially change the equipped monster to face down defense position, and then this card gets sent to the graveyard. So not only do you load up your graveyard with attraction traps so that you can blow up the field the next turn with Arlecchino, this is also acts as interruption. So the play that most people know this deck for is you summon out Administrator Arlecchino, your opponent normal summons a monster, Arlecchino's effect activates to then, equip it with, let's just say, Horror House. Since on resolution, you can activate Horror House to send it to the graveyard, and that monster becomes Book of Moon. They can't link summon, synchro summon, and they already wasted their normal summon. So it's pretty good. That's kind of like the whole gimmick behind the entire deck. Okay, so Horror House is probably the best trap in the entire deck. So with the rest of the attraction traps, we're running 3 Cyclo Coaster. So this one, if it's on you, you can target 1 spell or trap card your opponent controls, send both this card and that targeted spell or trap card to the graveyard. So it doesn't destroy, but it's kind of like your form of back row removal next to also Arlecchino. But its second effect is the one that I use the most. Its second effect is that when this card's equipped to your opponent's monster, you can add 1 Amazement monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send this card to the graveyard. So essentially, it's another Rhoda for the deck. That's why I said this card is extremely consistent, and that's why I think the ratio of 2 Abomination and 2 Administrator Arlecchino is the most preferred for me personally. For the rest of the attraction traps, you're running 3 Amaze Attraction Thrill Train. So when this is equipped to you, you can change the equipped monster's battle position. Then your opponent chooses 1 attraction trap in your graveyard, and it sets it to your field. I never use that effect. I don't think you'll ever use that effect either. But it's a pretty good source of disruption because if this is equipped to your opponent's monster, you can banish the equipped monster on the field until the end phase. So this is another great trap to kind of equip it off of Administrator Arlecchino. I actually was running 2 Thrill Train and 1 of the Viking Vortex. But I found that Thrill Train is just a better source of disruption in most case scenarios. So, that's an option if you guys want to run 2 Thrill Train, 1 Viking Vortex, or just run the 3 Thrill Train. The other traps, I don't believe that they're very good. And what I mean, that's just me putting it nicely. I think that they suck. So don't run the other traps, in my opinion. The last Amazement trap is the 1 Amazement Family Faces. This is the card that was very difficult to search out and just difficult to utilize, but now with Abomination Arlecchino, this card becomes instantly better. And you only need to run 1 copy because it is recyclable off of his effect. You can grab it from the graveyard. So it states that you can target 1 monster your opponent controls equipped with 1 of your attraction traps and equip this card to it. While this card's equipped to a monster that your opponent controls, you take control of that monster, but you cannot activate its effects, and it gains 500 attack, and it's also treated as an amazement monster. So essentially, it's a snatch deal. You can't utilize the effect, but hey, that's fine. You have a beater, and it's really good to OTK. This deck is really good for OTK for it to be a control deck. So the 1 Family Faces. Now, that is it for the Amazement traps. Now, let's go for the supporting traps. Okay, so we're, of course, running 3 Infinite Impermanence. No shocker to anyone. This card is so good. Just being able to essentially, on your opponent's turn, if they go first, you can imperm the first monster that they summon, like Ash, hypothetically. Okay, and then let's just say they have a way to go into, you imperm Ash, and then you have Amazement Arlecchino in your hand. You can reveal Arlecchino, special summon Arlecchino. Your opponent goes, Bonfire, adds Poplar effect to special summon itself, and then you can go Chainlink 1 Poplar, Chainlink 2 Arlecchino to, let's just say, Book a Moon it, or something like that, or you can save Arlecchino. But that's an interaction that I really do utilize a lot. So Infinite Impermanence is really good to just even allow you to play on turn 0, for your deck. So this deck, obviously we're running, it's a trap deck, so in a slow trap deck, and it's my favorite trap card, we're running 3 Evenly Matched. Again, this card I think is just so good, especially in the coming formats, that there's no spell or trap card negates, and at least there's no spell and trap card negates that can be made quite easily anymore. There are still monster negates, but Evenly Matched is just so fantastic because you can declare battle phase, end of battle phase, evenly match your opponent, and then on resolution of Evenly Matched, you can drop Arlecchino, and there you go. You can just control the board from there. So I do think Evenly Matched is probably going to be a very strong card coming into this new format. For the rest of the traps, you're running 3 Solemn Strike. This is, again, just to break boards. I was going to profile this back with Summon Limit because I was running 3 Summon Limit. It was one of the key cards in this deck. But Solemn Strike is still pretty good to negate effects in the graveyard, negate effects in the hands, anywhere, honestly. And it's just really good to break boards, and not only that, it's another trap card that you can basically special summon Arlecchino with. So no complaints for me on that one. So for the rest of the traps, we are running 2 Dogmatic Punishments. No shocker there. Card's good. You can set it off of Lord of Heavenly Prison or something like that if you don't need the draw. But Dogmatic Punishment is really good to send something like Garura or something like that to the graveyard. And I am running 2 Terrors of the Overroot. So this is my trap of choice. It's just kind of like my little tech. I was running Ice Dragon's Prison, but what I found is that there's a lot of different typings in the current meta, right? Voiceless Voice has a lot of different typings. Fire King Snake Eyes have a lot of different typings. So I just found Terrors of the Overroot to just be a little bit better than that for this format. It basically states that you can target 1 card your opponent controls and 1 card in their graveyard, send that targeted monster that you to the graveyard, and then set the card that you targeted in the graveyard to your opponent. So it sends and sets. So you can set something useless like, I don't know, a Veiler or something like that from the graveyard. You know what I mean? So it's pretty good. And that is it for the deck, ladies and gentlemen. That is a flat 40 cards. Like I said, this is a for fun deck, but hey, the consistency is there, and it's kind of fun to play with. I really highly recommend it, if you just want to make a deck in Master Duel, But like I said, it's a fun little pocket deck, and hey, I can't say no to my son, right? So for the extra deck, of course, doesn't matter. It's just a bunch of punishment targets. Maybe Super Poly if you guys want to run Super Poly as well, is another really good choice. But you know, I don't really care about making it that competitive. So we're running 3 Entus. Obviously, nothing new here. This is your punishment target, and we're running the 1 Skull Knight and the 1 Wind Pegasus Adagnister, and of course the Garura, which I have in another deck. I didn't feel like taking it out. So that's pretty much it, and then the rest is just whatever your heart contents, you know, that you want. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the deck for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, rate, comment, and subscribe. We're close to 600 subscribers, which is crazy, and there's always going to be a link down to the deck image down below if you just care about that. So let me know what you guys think. This is the Whale. Catch you guys later.